What's going on, people? It's been a long time yet again. Been busy. So here we are a month later. I promise I'm trying. I promise. But I got stuff to do. So today, we're going to talk about this famous thing that you guys probably know nothing about. Totally being facetious. You probably know everything about this guitar. And having said that, again, we're just going to talk about the build. We're not going to talk about history. We're not going to talk about a whole lot of stuff. There's too many videos out there. We're trying to be a little bit different. So again, off the cusp, unedited. So here we are yet again. Let's just go right into it. Obviously, this is the Frankenstein guitar, Frankenstrat, the Frankie, however you want to talk about it. This guitar is the shit, pretty much, okay? This is probably my all-time favorite guitar as far as just guitars in rock history, guitars in anything. This guitar changed life for me like it did anyone else. Now, granted, I wasn't born in 1978 when this guitar pretty much debuted. Granted, it was black and white then. Remember that. It was the black and white guitar first before it ever became what we know it as today. Yeah, I remember seeing this guitar. I think it was like Van Halen, Best of Both Worlds albums when I kind of got into Van Halen. And I remember just seeing this paint scheme on there, and I was like, that's really, really cool on the CD cover. Yes, on that old CDs were a thing. And before that, 8-track and this and that. Neither here nor there. But I thought that this guitar just looked really cool and had that paint scheme on there. And then obviously I started to watch YouTube and videos of Eddie and saw him playing this guitar. And then I always wanted one back in the day. I always wanted one. But again, the only thing that existed at that time was essentially this guitar. And it was about $35,000. Or 25. No, it's $25,000. I think it's worth about 35 now. But it was $25,000 back in, I think it came out in, 2006? Or something like that. Fender made a run of 300. It was like 150 overseas, 150 in the domestic United States. It's probably the only time I could say that if I ever had enough money to pay for a guitar, and which is essentially a car payment, that I totally would, but I don't have that kind of dough. So this isn't the first time I've ever built this guitar. This is probably the third or fourth time. It's still not perfect. There's still some stuff wrong. But again, it's a fun project. It's what makes it enjoyable. And this one was a very fun build to do. So we're going to talk more about the build, less about the history and this and that. Let's just dive right into it. I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me talk about my love for this thing or how it came to be, unless it's just something you really want to know. I did have a red shirt on and it really clashed, so I feel like it just made it not really stick out as much, so I changed the shirt and now it's blue. Brings up my eyes, I've been told. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So the body, as you see, is a the Frankie body from Musicraft. I believe they still make this body today. I got this body, honestly had it, and it was painted black and white for years, and then I finally was just like, I should probably finish this damn thing. I did. But this is the Frankie body. It is a swamp ash body. Now, I've had several swamp ash bodies in my life, and there's a couple things wrong with swamp ash. Now, the original, to our knowledge, was a swamp ash body, and apparently it had some weight to it. It was very heavy. Most swamp ash bodies I've had were extremely heavy. However, I asked Musicraft if they could give me one that obviously wasn't as heavy. I'd say altogether, this guitar is actually relatively light. I'd say it's maybe in the 7-pound range with everything on it. But the body was actually really light. So I was surprised. But thank you, Musicraft. Again, Musicraft's very good. You can go to Musicraft. You can go to Lock Guitars. You can go to Dive Bomb Inc. You could go to Butala. You could go to, there's just so much of this around. And back in the day, this stuff was not around. It really wasn't. There's only a few places you could get this stuff from, which is what kind of made it cool and kind of underground in a way. Hold on, I got another one. So, Frankie body. I think back then it was maybe like 150, maybe 135. So really the pricing hasn't really changed too much, and the price of woods has gone up and down, or up because of inflation. But Frankie body, the neck was probably the most expensive thing. The neck actually got years later. It was used on eBay. And again, guys, eBay is your friend when it comes, especially to the Frankenstein stuff. You can find a lot of stuff on eBay or Reverb, but I'd say probably more so on eBay. But the neck. So the lighting in here really sucks. So I'm going to try to show you the best that I can. The neck is bird's eye maple. It's 5A flame. Now, the original neck, historically, I believe, it had all kinds of necks on this thing, all kinds. But this version was kind of like the Fender version I was going with. And let me show you the back of this thing. I mean, look at the flame of that. But I believe this was the neck that was on, could get this wrong, I think it was the Circles guitar. And then you end up putting it on here. And again, this is, I don't know if this is the neck that's on it today or not. Oh, there you go. Look at that. It's a freaking beautiful neck. Very expensive. It's probably about a $600 neck. Very expensive. But, I mean, yeah, look at that. It's just very pretty neck. And it's slightly roasted. Again, you got to be careful with these pretty woods because the prettier the wood is, if it's going to contain a lot of moisture in it, and all necks move, I don't care. But this one was slightly baked, and which made it a little bit darker. But the baking got a lot of the moisture out. And out of all my guitars, any ones that I've gotten baked holds tune for literally almost ever. I can play it, I can let it sit, I can let the AC run, the heat on, this and that, take it outside, and the thing just holds tune next to none. So again, when you get your necks, it's very important that you get it, tight fitting, that it's, not a super duper pretty wood. Again, it looks nice, but if you don't get any finish on it or anything like that, it's very liable to move. I think there's like the gun stock oil finish on it, so it just feels very natural, easy smoothing. I believe the frets were, again, 6105s. I think these were stainless steel frets, though. Heavy rolled edges, so you don't cut your finger, all that, or strings get caught underneath the frets. But Musicraft does do a lot of good jobs. I've had a couple necks that were kind of sketch, to be honest, from them, but usually 9 times out of 10 they do put out great product. Again, the neck, it's bird's eye maple, because if you can kind of look in, not that my face is getting closer, I just can't see, I'm half blind. It looks like literally bird's eyes in it. That's why they call it bird's eye, It's 21 frets, just like the original. And I believe it's called the Frankie neck on their site. And I'm trying to think what else. You just get it kind of as is. It's asymmetrical. It's the EVH asymmetrical neck profile is what I got. And I believe the neck radius is 10 to 12. It's an R2 Floyd Rose nut. Retainer bar comes with it. Yeah, so that's the neck. So to continue on with parts, I believe I got this off of, I want to say Dye Bomb Inc. They got an actual Frankie neck, and again, you can find this pickup anywhere. You can also get this material here. I always wondered what the red material is called. It's called phenolic, Phenolic, phenolic. It's like red phenolic. It comes in different colors, but phenolic, I guess, is like a fireproof material. I could be completely wrong, but I do know that's what it's called. It's called phenolic. And you can actually buy like this little piece and actually just glue it onto a pickup if you want. But I got it from Dye Bomb Inc. And they come in different tints of red, but he nailed it. I want to say it was like $45, $50, something like that. The pickup can work, but obviously I don't have it wired to work. It's a dummy pickup. And I'll get to how we relicked it and this and that, but that's as it was. It came with the wires, the wiring you see. I mean, God, lighting is horrible. I apologize. The CRL switch, I believe I also got from Dye Bomb Inc. I relicked that up a little bit, but it already kind of came relicked. But I think it's a CRL 5-way switch, whatever. And it's in the correct position where I don't know if you can see it at the very bottom where that switch would actually be, right above the pickup there. Trying to make it to where the lighting you can see it, but I got it so dirty in there. The pickup is a 78 Seymour Duncan. This for like old Van Halen, it's hot, and it's probably my favorite sounding pickup for older Van Halen. I mean, again, it can still get like the 90s tones and stuff like that too, but I mean, it's really specific. To get specific, it's out of all the pickups I've tried, from Pariah to the EVH Frankenstein to the Seymour Duncan SH11, the SH5, the custom, the normal EVH humbucker like you'd get in a Wolfgang. I've tried Jalen pickups. I mean, all of them. And they're all very good pickups. I'm not trying to take a crap on any of them. My own personal opinion, this pickup for the older generation, pretty much anything through Fair Warning album, this pickup's awesome. It's very full, it's very low end heavy, and the treble's good, the highs aren't quite too sharp, and this thing just rings for days. It's a really, really good pickup. Blues, rock, it cleans up nice. I mean, you're not going to go be playing jazz with this thing, but again, tones in your fingers, so it's, as long as you're good, you're going to make it sound just about like whatever. But great pickup. It's like I said, especially for the Ed heads out there and the Van Halen fans. Love that pickup. That's enough about that. But I want to say the CRL switch, just to get back to that, was like maybe $25. This pickup here was maybe $100, $120. I don't know what that would be today. I've had a lot of this stuff for a long time. The Floyd Rose is an actual 1980s Floyd Rose. As you can see, that's its own relicing there. I didn't do anything to it. It's an actual 1980s original Floyd Rose. I think it came off like an old Kramer from back in the day. The pick guard I bought cut. Again, I think this was another dive bomb purchase, or I got it off eBay just randomly. Again, you can find all that stuff I just talked about on eBay. And I think the pick guard was maybe $25. I put the foil underneath there. I got the tone knob. I looked it up. I was like, another $5 or so. One of the most important things is this quarter here. It's a 1971 quarter. I got it, I believe, pre-drilled on eBay, and got the one oversized screw and this and that, and I've never moved it, obviously, and there that is. The jack, as you can see, it's all rusted up and kind of relic there. I got the jack from, I believe, maybe eBay as well. I'm going to say that was like another $25. Again, you should be adding all this stuff up. I think all in on this guitar, I'm probably, again, between the 1800 range. Now, the reflectors back in the day were hard as hell to find. And mine's slightly wrong here, and I'll get to that. But the pickups were very hard to find back in the day. I mean, they just were. They had... I've gotten several different versions of this, and I know the Fender ones, I know that those are wrong so far of what I've heard. I'm thinking for 25 grand, damn, that's to have something wrong on that. But again, the reflectors you just bought them at a truck stop. It's not like they just mass produce these things. You can just go find them anywhere. But there's tons of reflectors now. I mean, I think they have them actually on EVH.com. You can get them on eBay. You can get them through Dive Bomb. You can get them through, I think, even, don't quote me on it, but I want to say like K&E. Guitars where you can get the body and a neck as well. K&E's another good one. I think you can buy the reflectors and it comes with like the body, if I'm correct. Again, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but might be an option through some of them. But again, you can get this on EVH.com, these reflectors now. They don't come with the paint and stuff, but you just stick them on and done. But yeah, so here's the back. This is a piece of duct tape here. But the reflectors, I'm going to say, were maybe $25 from back in the day. And the neck plate, it's got the correct serial number on it. I believe that's 67071. I'm reading this backwards, so good luck. You can see it better than I can right now. It's right for you and wrong for me. I'm just also dyslexic, so there's that. So I think that's pretty much the parts. I got the eye hooks from, you know, Home Depot in a mass purchase. The tuners are the Schaller mini heads. Again, those didn't come relic. They were beat the hell up when I bought them. I bought them used. But again, why is everyone texting me right now? This literally happens every time, and I apologize. So if you see me just keep looking like this, it's because my phone's getting blown up. Apparently, between 1 and 1:30, that's when people want to talk to me. But again, here's the Schaller mini heads. Again, these are very hard to find now. German made, I believe. These things could go up to $200 now. I mean, it's just stupid. Back in the day, I think I got these for $30. What a freaking steal! So yeah, this tape is gaffer's tape. It's right. He used to just stick his picks, and I mean it's completely unsticky now. And that's parts. Okay, paint. Again, there's tons of diagrams. There's tons of photos. The thing that I was getting to earlier that just popped back in my head is swamp ash or ash in general. It's a very grainy wood, and if you look, you probably see it better on the back. See there? See where it's kind of shiny there? Down there, my bottom left, probably your bottom right. See the grain? This is where I screwed up, because legend has it, I do have to go in history a little bit, is when I guess Eddie first purchased the guitar from Boogie Bodies. I don't know that originally it was an unfinished guitar. I think it had a finish on it due to photos. Rob Johnson, another great guy, they kind of go into the history of it, but just to give you a synopsis, again, if you want to see the real thing, go watch his video. But I believe, if I understand correctly, it was like a sunburst finish on the guitar before he had routed it out and, you know, made it beat to hell. It was originally that, because I always noticed on the fender, like in the relicing, like if you look, like here where the wood is, that's straight up wood, right? If you look at the Frankie that they did, it had like a yellowish tint to it, and it wasn't very grainy at all. So I'm assuming that they used wood sealer first and then applied, you know, the sunburst finish, and then obviously he tried to take it off as best he could, but there was still some areas where it had that orangish reddish, or I mean the orangish tint or yellow tint to it. Again, very interesting stuff. So if I was to go back and do this again, I would use wood grain filler, because I mean look how grainy that is. Now I think it looks cool, and I still think it looked really cool to this day, but back then, I mean, I wanted it to look grainy. I really did. I wanted it to look grainy because I had seen a bunch of people's builds, and it all was very grainy. And I was like, man, it looks so cool. Completely wrong though. But again, who cares? This is for you. It's what you want, you know. You know, as Ed would always do, he'd make it cool for himself. So who cares? But again, and you wanted to do it a certain way, you know, I would use wood sealer first, get the grain filled, and then that way it goes on as an even layer paint. I would do that yellow tint finish, and then, you know, tape it off and go from there. So again, to kind of go into the build, I don't know the exact sizes of tape, but they have like templates now you can buy. They have diagrams. They have everything you possibly need. But there is a certain template chart that's like black and white, and it shows you where to tape stuff off and how to do it first. I used all duplicolor paint for this. It is lacquer based, and again, it's going to dry really fast. Make sure your temperature is correct. You know, between 50 and about 70 degrees. No windy days. If you're doing it outside, if you're inside, be careful. Again, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But the paint, I went over it with black first. I believe that was the universal black paint. And then, you know, I taped all these areas off first. This was the hardest one to try and get placed. It was. I mean, look how jacked up it is over here. But not here or there. So I taped off black first, taped it, painted it white next, and then I used universal white as the white that I used. The universal white has more of a yellowish tint to it. You can't really tell in the lighting, but it was universal white. Or not universal white, I apologize, Wimbledon white. Wimbledon white. I'm so stuck on universal white because I've used it for other builds up to this point. Wimbledon white has a yellower tint. So Wimbledon white was the white that I used. It's a little bit harder to find, sorry. but you can find it. It's a little bit harder to find. Usually only like one can at AutoZone. You can go to O'Reilly Auto Parts, whatever your auto department store is. Go there, you'll find it. Just might take you a while. I believe I used 2 cans pretty much for all the sprays. It was 1 each side. And then after the white, I reliced it in some places, dinged it up a little bit, put, holes where the pick guard used to be when it was the black and white guitar. And I taped off, this wood portion first. All the, this stuff. But I taped it all off, did it with the white, taped it again, reliced it. And again, when you relic stuff, use your photos, look at it from all different angles. I always try to tell you guys, here's, the sides or the other areas you don't, typically get to see. X-Acto knife, rounded edge preferably. You can use a pointer edge, it just sucks. It just really gets through the paint. You can use sandpaper, but be careful because it's going to sand areas that you don't want. Another tip would be for, if you wanted to put some wear in some places, is to use sandpaper, but get like one of those pink erasers. Remember from back in the day or at school when you had those little pink chubby erasers? You can get sandpaper and roll that over it, maybe tape it on one side so you don't have to hold it together constantly. And you can kind of get more smaller fine point areas with that. Just a word of advice. Make your job a lot easier. What else? Then after that, it was the red, and the red is Super Red 2, as in Roman numeral dos 2. That's the red that I used. And again, the cool thing about the lacquer is because it burns underneath, you can actually see how that right there, this line here, you can actually see the black kind of underneath the red, but still the red over top. So that's where the lacquer comes in. And that's why I said lacquer burns from layer to layer to layer underneath a layer. What do I always tell you guys too? Sharpie is your friend. If you look at the fender, there's these little lines of paint that happen to kind of go across where that was left or this or that, not in that exact order. Again, this I consider this more of a tribute guitar. It's not 100% perfect, like I said. But I did Sharpie with that. I did the Sharpie for what they call the goop, which was actually from Ed. If you look at photos back in the day when he played this thing, he used duct tape to hold on his guitar strap. And from him taking the duct tape off and putting it on, off and on, off and on, it left tape residue on it. Another thing is don't forget your white duct tape that covers the ground wire here. And it does go there. Your springs are also, the springs are wrong. I know one's supposed to be kind of like off to an angle, but again, it was over functionality. I wanted the guitar to play well. It happened to work for Ed's, it was not working for mine. And then the seagulls, as they call it, or whatever else, I totally jacked this up. So my best piece of advice to do this, little life hack. Everyone's got an iPhone, iPad, touch phone, anything like that, right? So this is what I did for later builds to make sure I got this right. And I have another guitar that I'll show you in another video. It's a I call it, the Wolfenstein or whatever. It's a Frankie body, but it has a Wolfgang neck. And I'll show you that. That paint job turned out really well. It's a heavy as hell guitar. Again, we'll talk about that. But I managed to actually get this right. So what you can do is you can take blue painter's tape or like normal painter's tape that's kind of like the tan, where if you hold it over a light, you can see through it, okay? So if you tape it on the screen of your phone or your iPad as you have the photo pulled up large of this area of the actual guitar, take a pencil and lightly touch, because you're using your touch phone. But if you just, again, tape over your phone like that, and then you sit there and you draw it out, whatever, with a pencil colored in so you can see it, and then very carefully rip it off your phone so you're not ripping the whole screen off. Just lightly put on the tape, draw the exact shape to the exact size you want, then put it down in one piece on your guitar and see if it fits and if it's good. And if you have to adjust the size, you can adjust it on your phone, right? And then do it again. And then cut it out with, I would say, an X-Acto knife. Put it on like a piece of paper, or like a paper plate. Cut it out with a very sharp X-Acto knife, not a rounded edge, an actual X-Acto knife. Get it real nice and tight. take it off, put it on, and boom, you're done. You're welcome. I saved you so much time. I know. You're welcome. I'm awesome. Thank you, Kyle, for telling us that, because that drove me nuts. Because if you don't, look, this is what happens. This is me eyeballing it. Look at this. I look at this guitar now, and maybe you guys don't think it looks that bad. It drives me nuts. Every time I look at it, I'm like, and maybe I could sand it and redo it, but then I think it's just going to look horrible now or something. I don't know. I'm not that experienced in this stuff. I maybe could fix it. Not that important to me. Or now you can go and you can buy the EVH model. You know, that Frankenstein. Again, I would consider that a tribute guitar because they have this whole area right here jacked up. It's messed up as hell. And they want $2,000 for that now. But I think before when it came out it was like $1,600. I'd say $1,600 is a fair price. I think $2,000 and over, it's a little much. But again, if you got the money, it's what you want, and you don't want to build it, you don't want to do this stuff, then by all means, do you. You know what I mean? And that would probably be the easiest way to get, the guitar and this fix and have it done, somewhere. Again, it's a very good guitar. I played several of them, and I do like them, and at some point in time, I might still buy one. But again, back in the day, like that did not exist. I've been waiting my whole life for that guitar to come out. It came out, in 2020? It was the last guitar that came out while the man was alive. That pertained to him, that he had something to do with, technically. Obviously guitars have come out since that he's had everything to do with because it's his brand and he has somewhat of a say, even after, probably because of Wolfgang. But I'm just saying back in the day that this stuff did not exist. It was not around outside of that $25,000 Fender replica. So again, if you guys want to do this and do it on your own, I suggest you do. It's a good, fun project. You can really dive into it. You can really take your time, or if you don't want to, buy that EVH model. It's a very good guitar. And it's not perfect. Mine isn't either. So it's just about whatever it is you guys want to do, whatever you can afford. So I'm going to keep this video pretty short. I know that this guitar has been talked about often and a lot. There's tons of videos out here about it. Mine's not any better than anyone else's. It's just what I did. And I know I've gotten a lot of positive feedback over, doing these guitars and you all taking a look and this and that. I appreciate all the love. Thank you. If this makes, things easier, for you, then great. That's my thing. I'm just here to help you guys. Because like I said, not a lot of this information was out when I was trying to do this stuff. It really wasn't. And again, for doing this years ago, painting this thing, like I said, I'll probably do it a little bit differently now. But it does pretty good. Oh, and I always do this. The last thing, the blue paint. I think I just got baby blue paint from Home Depot or Lowe's, and I sprayed it on a paper plate, and then I just used a brush, as you can tell, and then I just painted it on there. I guess there was a Van Halen banner, because on the Van Halen part under the VH, it was blue, and I guess Ed had set his guitar up against the banner or whatever was freshly painted, and obviously took it off, and that's where the blue paint came from. So again, this guitar's got a lot of history. It's got a really cool story about it. But again, I'm not going to go into all that because there's so many videos of that out there. So the fact that you even watch this one at all, and if you've made it through up to this point, then great. Like I said, I'm going to try to post more. I'm going to try to do this more often. If you guys want to see me actually play it as opposed to talking about all these all the time, I don't mind. But again, I know my main focus is really more so on the builds and try to give you guys any help that I can. So again, without further ado, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions about anything or anything at all, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me. And, keep doing whatever it is you do. All right? Peace out.